Hello, lifers, and welcome back to the Live the Life podcast. I am your host, Eric Aroca. Hey, Sophie, I feel like it's been a while. Good to see you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this thing going. I can't believe we've done 21. This is our 21st episode. 21 episodes. So, yay! We got to 21. It's pretty exciting. It's gone by pretty fast. I can't believe that means it's been 21 weeks. That's kind of crazy. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun. As you guys can see, we've had some really cool guests on lately. We had my sister Karen over the 4th of July talking about becoming an American citizen. And that was a lot of fun. So definitely go check out that episode. Last week, we had Tammy Renee on. And she is the ambassador of Hope, Healing, and Thriving. She is a speaker and author. In fact, her book, she was nice enough to send me her book, Miracles in the Dark. So, you definitely want to go check out this next, or the past episode number 20. I will link it in the descriptions for you guys. It was really good. She talked a lot about finding rays of light in your darkest moments. So definitely very, very, very good episode. It's getting tons and tons of attention right now, rightly so. So definitely go check out her book, Miracles in the Dark. I've read through the first chapter only so far. I just barely got it. And so far, love it. So definitely go check that out. And as promised, we've been talking about it for a little bit. We have the rewrite of Live the Life You've Always Imagined completed. It's all set. Don't worry about that gray band. That's just the not for resale band that Amazon puts on books when you're reviewing them. But it is ready to roll. So grab yourself a copy as well. Link is in the description as always. And hey, listen, we're getting ready to start the school year. How many days are we away, Sophie?
I don't know. I graduated. I don't keep up anymore.
I love that. Did you hear? I hope you guys heard that. She's like, I don't know. I don't care. I don't have to go to school anymore. Is that what you said? Something like that. That's right. So today, it was funny. We were driving in front of the high school. We drove past the high school, and Sophie said, do you know how great it feels not just to know that I never have to go back there again? So I thought that was pretty. She said, no more crippling anxiety. Was that it? No more crippling anxiety. Anyway, but since we are getting ready to start and go back to school just in probably less than a month or right about a month from now, don't forget, From Burnout to Brilliance. So, hey, if you're a school teacher or you're an educator, you should be reading this book before you start off the new year. This is a great way to kick it off. And just to help you, again, reignite your passion and purpose for teaching. So go check it out. All those links, all that good stuff in the description. All right. Anything else? Oh, you know what? I did want to mention that we do have some really good guests coming on in the next several weeks. So that's all I'm going to say. Should I tease it a little bit more? No, that's all I'm going to say. We have some really great guests coming on. I am actually doing an interview tomorrow, doing one next week. So I'm going to try to keep them going. Probably every other week we will be putting out a guest. And for many of you out there, hey, you're enjoying the videos. You're enjoying the short clips that I've been putting out. Help us by growing the channel. Help us by actually subscribing to the channel. So if you like the content, you like the episodes that you've heard, please tell your friends, but please subscribe, like, comment, all those good things. But please subscribe. That really does help us in the channel, helps us to grow and just to keep things moving forward. So don't forget to subscribe. All right, I think that's it, right? Maybe not. Okay, So, as you can see, I took this picture several years ago when I was in Athens, and it is of the Odeon of Herodes Atticus in Athens. It's an amphitheater, and it was built roughly 161 AD. And, when you look at it, when you stand from above, like I was standing as I took that picture, it's immaculate. It's solid. It is strong. It is just, it kind of takes your breath away when you're standing there. To think that it was built that long ago, to think that it survived the Second World War, and just how magnificent it truly is. It looks perfect from up there, from that point of view. But I think that when you get really close to it and you get underneath it, or just, down in the, what do you call it? When you get down in it, you see that there's probably more to the story than it just looks good and it looks strong and it looks magnificent. There's more to the story. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how leadership, culture, and us as leaders saying we're good might be the biggest lie holding us back as an organization or holding your teams back. So the reason why I want to talk about this is because recently I've been speaking with a lot of leaders in organizations and in schools. And, obviously, we get to talking. I tell them what I do. I tell them who I am. I tell them what problems I solve, blah, blah, blah. And it's always interesting that I have yet to hear a leader say, hey, we could use some improvement in that area. 100% of the time, leaders, whether it's a director, a CEO, a manager, what have you, a principal, a superintendent, 100% of the time, they say, we're good. I'm good. And I think that's a lie. You're not good. What you see versus what's real. There is a difference between what you see and what is real. So, this amphitheater, for example, it is polished, right? It looks solid. It looks strong. It looks like it's undestructible. And you might think of your organization as that. You might think of your school or your organization as very polished, very strong, that nothing's wrong. But from a distance, everything looks strong and functional. But again, when you dive down inside of it, it's not as functional as you thought. It's not as strong as you thought. So we can't continue to say as leaders, oh, hey, when it comes to my culture, we're good, right? Many of these principals that I spoke with and superintendents, I've been in their schools, as an example. I've been in their schools. I've done substitute teaching. I've heard how other teachers talk. I've seen how they behave towards students. I've seen how students behave in their schools, how completely out of control they are. So if those things are true, if those are the things that are happening in the bowels, that's the word I was looking for, in the bowels of the amphitheater, right? In the bowels of your school or organization, then we're not good. Because those are things that are counterintuitive to your culture. So we can't continue to say we're good. So I've walked into quite a few organizations or schools where you would think everything was great. They have good ratings. Organization has a good business review. The school has a great review online. It may be a top tier school. It may be an organization that is really excelling and maybe growing. Maybe it's on a top 10 list of, great places to work. Everything looks good, but as you get closer and closer to the organization, it starts to unravel a little bit more of what's not good, of what needs to be improved, of the things that are not good. So, there are times where maybe the trust was thin, right? Maybe there's not as much trust there. The energy is off. As I walk into an organization, whether it's the front reception area of an organization or the front office of a school, I pay very, very close attention to the admin that is sitting behind that desk. Because I feel like they are probably the closest tied to the organization and the closest tied to the actual culture than probably anybody else in the organization. And to be honest, they are the face of the organization. So if you walk in, or when I walk in, and I don't see a smile, it's not friendly, it's off-putting, they're rude or short with people on the phone or in person, then it doesn't matter what your rating is. It doesn't matter how good everything looks on the outside from far away or from above. It's not good. There are things that need to be fixed. And so I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that, some of the signs of the cracks, if you will, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. Number one, the first thing I came up with was gossip behind closed doors. Now, I've actually seen gossiping out in the open. I can't tell you how many physicians' offices, dental offices, wherever there's an office or a place of business that has a front end waiting area, you guys can pay attention to this. There's going to be gossip, and you can hear it. I've seen people from the office staff talking back and forth to each other, talking poorly about their boss or about a co-worker, or they're talking trash about a patient that just came in. Gossip. That will destroy your culture pretty dang quickly. And if you're not aware of it as the leader, as the owner of the organization, if you're not aware of it and you just think, oh, we're good, burying your head in the sand isn't going to help matters, isn't going to help things get better. It's just going to help in that continued deterioration of your organization, of your culture. So you can't ignore it whenever you have gossip, whether it's out in the open or behind closed doors. So you got to put a stop to it. You got to fire some people, get them out of there, let them go, because that cannot be tolerated. All right. Another crack would be high turnover rate. I was talking to a salesperson the other day, and I asked him how they love their job. He said, oh, I love my job. I think it's really fun. It's great. I make good money, blah, blah, blah. All the reasons why you kind of get into sales, I guess, to begin with. Asked them a little bit about the organization. They kind of, said the organization was great, but a little bit into the conversation, they mentioned that they have high turnover rate, that they burn through people pretty quickly. And I thought, maybe there's something to that. Why are you burning through people? What is it about your culture that is burning through people, that is causing you to have a high turnover rate? If that's the case, if you're constantly hiring, if you're constantly hiring for the same position over and over again throughout the year, that might tell you something about your organizational culture, that, that's basically telling you you've got some pretty big cracks that you need to fill, and you need to fill very, very quickly. And I don't mean fill them by hiring more people. I mean get to the root of the problem of why you have high turnover and address that so that you can keep your top talent. It is extremely expensive for organizations to hire people, to not only hire them, but you bring them in, you train them, you put them through the course, you get them acclimated to your organization, and then they leave 3 months later or a month later or 6 months later, and then you're back into the same beginning cycle of having to rehire for that same position. That is not healthy for your culture. So you really need to dive deep in and figure out what is the root cause of that problem. Why does that high turnover rate exist? Fix that. You have to fix that before you can move on, or really before you start hiring other people, because if not, you're just hiring people who are going to leave and you're still going to have that high turnover rate. So get that figured out. Morale in free fall is another crack. So that low morale, that low energy, is a good sign that you have a pretty big crack in your culture, right? So pay attention to that. Are your people upbeat? Are they happy? Do they smile? Look at that. Do they smile when they come to work? Pay close attention to that as a leader. All right. Here's a good one that's a little bit different than just high turnover rate, but good people quietly leaving. Good people quietly leaving. That might tell you that you have a pretty big foundational crack in your culture that you need to address ASAP. If you can't keep your best talent, I don't know. I mean, I don't think you can stay in business very long if you do not have top talent, or you cannot retain your top talent. And it's not about throwing money at it either. That's not how you fix it. You fix it by doing a deep dive, just like for the high turnover rate, by doing a deep dive and figuring out, why are my good people quietly leaving? Why they're not making any headway, they're not making any noise when they're leaving. They're just leaving. They're leaving you. They're not leaving the job. I'll just give you that as a hint. They're not leaving the job. They are leaving you. Principal, superintendent, CEO, chief executive, director, manager. They are leaving you. They're not leaving your company. They are leaving quietly, and they are leaving you behind. There's a reason for it. Figure out why your good people are leaving. You need to retain your top talent in order for you to be competitive in the market. That's just how it is. Another one is fear disguised as silence in meetings. Listen, if you have a culture of fear, you are in big trouble. It's probably too late. If you have people who are afraid to speak up and say, this is what's wrong, this is what I see is going on, your business is in trouble. Your business is in more trouble than if you have high turnover rate, than if people are gossiping, that all those things. Your business is in big trouble because people are there for the paycheck because, hey, listen, they're afraid. They are afraid to speak up. It's a culture of silence. Think about your meetings. If you are having meetings and your people are not speaking up, you got issues. You've got some big cracks. And you need to fill those cracks ASAP. Because if not, then your top talent is going to leave. Your people need to know that you've got their back, that you want them to feel supported, you want them to feel valued, you want them to feel heard. And so allow the space in order for those things to happen. You do not need a culture of fear disguised as silence in meetings or in any other way in your organization. Your employees, your staff should be able to come to you as the leader and openly tell you and share with you things that they're seeing, things that they don't agree with, whatever it is, without fear of them being fired or them being put on a plan or just some detrimental thing happening in their career because they spoke up. So make sure that your people know that they can speak up and allow for that environment, build that environment for them to do so. I have worked in several businesses where you just learned not to speak up in meetings. I was working for a fulfillment company a few years ago in Salt Lake City, and I was helping them put together some course trainings and some of those type of things. And it was really a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoyed working there. But I went to a meeting with the CEO, and I think I may have shared this story in previous episodes, probably in the first couple of episodes, maybe. But my manager had told me to get ready for a meeting, that I needed to come prepared for this, for this meeting, that I was going to be over this project. And she laid it all out for me, told me this is like 3 days in. This is like my third day in the job. But I was ready to dive in and get busy and get things done. So I was really excited about it. She said, hey, we have a weekly meeting. The CEO is going to be there, or he was the acting CEO at the time. And, all the other departments in the fulfillment company are represented. So we get to the point where I get to talk about my project and find out all about my project and what tools I need, what resources I need, and kind of give everybody an update on where the project stands at the moment. And also that, hey, this is my third day in, right? So I get one sentence in, and the CEO interrupts me and talks over me. Okay, I'm trying to be respectful, so I let him talk and finish. I continue with my presentation. He interrupts me again. Same thing happens over and over and over again during the meeting. So about 10 minutes in, I have not even shared, not even a fraction of information that I need to share with the group. So I finally just decided to say, hey, since I can't get in a word in edgewise, I am just going to put everything that I came prepared to discuss on an email and send it out to the group, right? And then for the rest of the meeting, he even got to a point in the meeting where we were talking about something else, some other project, and he even stated, hey, I need everyone's input, and we're going to go around the room virtually, right? It was a virtual call. We're going to virtually go around the room, and we are going to get input from everyone. So I was like number 4 on the list of people that had to speak. And so the first 3 tried to give their recommendations or what have you. And he interrupted every single one of them and spoke over them. So when he got to me, I just said, I don't have any recommendations. It was awkward. But I didn't have any recommendations. Why was I going to recommend something that he wasn't even going to listen to, that he was going to pay no attention to whatsoever? Because whatever I said, he was going to speak over that and just basically ignore anything I said, and it was going to be his idea anyway. And so I was just like, I don't have any recommendations. I'm good. My boss, my manager was next after me. She said the same thing. And so I think everybody else got the hint that he is not going to let you speak. He is not going to let you share anything. So just be quiet. From then on, every meeting, it was that fear disguised as silence in meetings. That's what it was after that. No one spoke. If he asked for information, people gave the information, but other than that, no one was willing to speak up. No one was willing to share solutions or give recommendations in a meeting that he attended, because everyone knew that it didn't matter. So if this is going on in your organization, you do have cracks. So everything isn't good. So we, as leaders, we need to stop saying, oh, we're good. Just say, I'm not interested, right? Just say, hey, you know what? You offer a great service, but I really don't care. I'm not into that. I don't know, something at least somewhat honest. All right, the last crack I came up with. 2 sets of rules. 1 rule for the leaders and the other rules for the staff or for everyone else. Okay? Do you guys need a example? Sophie, should we give him an example? An updated example? And I know what you're thinking. Well, as soon as I say the word, Coldplay, right? It's funny. Sophie's already laughing. But so think about this. 2 sets of rules. 1 rule for me and another rule for all of you. Or the rules that exist for you, but they do not exist for me. Right? So, astronomy CEO, Andy Byron, right, gets caught cheating with the chief people officer, Kristen Cabot. Okay? Now, you can think whatever you want, that they shouldn't have been recorded, they should have been, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I think it's freaking hilarious that they got caught. And it brings me back to, we are not good. If your organization has a set of rules for its leaders, that they can act, they can behave certain ways, that they cannot follow certain rules when everybody else has to, then you got a huge crack in your foundation. You have a huge crack in your culture. And that crack doesn't disappear because Andy Byron resigned from the organization. This is a deep-seated crack. This is one of those foundational cracks that can bring the entire thing down. Okay? So look at how they built the amphitheaters. This is the type of crack, if you were to build an amphitheater, that could just destroy the entire thing. He's gone. I can't imagine that Kristen Cabot has a job today. If she does, that's even a bigger crack, right? Look at all the other employees who were in the suite with them. One lady was sitting there laughing like she couldn't, right? She thought it was hilarious. She had just been promoted. She shouldn't be at her job either. Remember when we talked about just a few minutes ago about a culture of silence? Why didn't she speak up? Why didn't that girl, why didn't that employee or any of the other employees who were in that setting with them, in that suite, why did none of them speak up before? And you might say, speak up to who, Eric? To them. I mean, I don't think you're going to call their spouse and say, hey, your husband or your wife is cheating on you. But you should be able to bring it up to them and saying, hey, we have rules in the organization that you're breaking. Your behavior is not conducive to being a CEO or a chief people officer. You wouldn't condone that behavior with anyone else in the organization, so why is it okay for you? So, you see what I mean? We know Andy Byron's left the company. He is no longer the CEO. But by no means is this problem fixed. So we are not good. Because Kristen probably still has her job. I haven't heard that she's left her job. Have you? I haven't heard that she's been fired or anything. The other lady that was sitting there, standing next to her, who thought the whole thing was just really funny, which I gotta give it to her. It was freaking hilarious. She shouldn't be there. And all the other employees that were in that suite, if they're still with the organization, you still got big problems. So we're not good. This thing goes deep. What you tolerate at a concert, what you tolerate in the hallways, what are you rewarding without even realizing it? From this just little example, think about what is being rewarded. Think about what is being tolerated. So what does it look like then? What does leadership in this situation, in this culture, in trying to fix all these cracks in the culture look like? Culture is not your mission statement. It's Monday morning. It's what happens Monday morning, guys. It is not your mission statement. It is not your vision statement. It's what happens on Monday morning. So if all these things are happening on a Monday morning, you got some pretty big problems that you got to fix pretty quickly. Leadership means stepping into the mess. And I don't mean the way that Andy Byron stepped into the mess. I mean cleaning up the mess. In order to clean it up, you got to step in the muck and you got to clean out. If you want to clean the horse stall, you don't get to clean it from the outside in. You have to get in the stall. You have to get in the muck to clean the stalls where the horses are. Have we learned nothing from watching Yellowstone all of these years? Right? Okay. One of my favorite shows, by the way. So step into the mess. Just acknowledge it, step into it, and clean it the hell up. Get it cleaned up. All right. Encourage vulnerability, listen, and have accountability. Now, there's a little bit of accountability. I will hand it to Andy Byron. He does have a little tiny bit of accountability, and I do mean a little tiny bit. Okay? At least he was accountable enough to leave the company. Now, I don't know, and I'll say this. If he left the organization on his own accord, if he said, listen, this really isn't, my behavior is not right, is not conducive to me being a CEO for this organization, so therefore I'm stepping down, then good for you, Andy Byron. But if you were basically just forced out because you got caught, then you have no accountability because you were forced out. Okay, you were told to leave. So I'm hoping, I'm going to give Andy here the benefit of the doubt and say that he does have a little tiny bit of accountability in the situation. And let's just say that he stepped down on his own after, this situation came to everyone's attention, right? I don't think that there's a more played TikTok, reel, story, anything on social media. I'm still getting tons of it. So, and it's been a few days now. All right. Encourage vulnerability. You know what? As a leader, when you make a mistake, own up to it. Now, you're going to say, oh, well, Andy put out a presser. He put out an apology. Number one, that was not an apology. There is nothing about that that's apologetic. You cannot say, hey, I made a mistake. My behavior is not conducive to being a leader or the CEO of this organization. I want to apologize to my wife. I want to apologize to my employees. He did that, but two paragraphs later, he says this is all on Coldplay because what should have been a private moment turned into a public display. Dude, that's not being vulnerable. That's not being accountable. Okay? Being vulnerable means you step into the mess, you acknowledge it, you take full responsibility for your actions. Hey, this was my mistake. This is not conducive to me being the CEO of this organization. I want to make the apologies. Make the apologies. The end. Leave Coldplay out of it. Dude, if I go to a hockey game here in Houston, Houston doesn't have a hockey team. If I go to a basketball game here in Houston, a baseball game, if I go to any public setting in Houston, I pay my ticket for it. It is not a private event. Okay? Anyone can take out their phone and record me. Hopefully, I'm not acting a fool for the whole world to see. Okay? So, as a leader, who you are as a leader you should be that person on the clock and off the clock. And obviously that did not happen here. All right. I don't want to continue to beat him to death with this, but it's just such a classic example of what is wrong with culture in our organizations. That there's always two sets of rules. That can't happen. The rules should apply to everyone. All right. So, culture isn't what's carved in stone. What's carved in stone, it's what happens when no one is watching. Okay, I think that was an awkward pause. That was long enough because I wanted to make a point. So just like I said, it's what you do when no one is watching. You know, I've said many times that values are the disinfectant to our culture. So live the values of the organization. That's what you got to do, is live those values. And you know what? You should not live those values only when you're on the clock or off the clock. It should be all the time. When I worked at Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, I was told over and over and over and over and over again, ad nauseum, that we had a joke that I always say, Big Brother's watching. It was always in the back of our mind that Big Brother was watching. I don't know how, because a lot of this was before the technology that we have today, but Big Brother was watching. There's a lot of truth to that. And there's more truth to that now than ever before. I mean, back then I had a BlackBerry. Okay? I love that phone. If you love the BlackBerry, tell me why in the comments. Because if I could go back to a BlackBerry today, I probably would. Okay, but today we just have the technology, right? We have that technology. So what do you do when no one's watching? Are you living those values? Big Brother is always watching. They also told us that what we did off the clock represented them in all that we did. So if I'm at a public place and you never know who's there, you never know if there's a doctor or someone that would recognize that I worked from Pfizer, and because of my poor behavior, they would decide, I'm no longer going to do business with Pfizer because of that rep, because of the way that they're behaving in public, right? So again, culture isn't what's carved in stone, it's what happens when no one's watching. So what are you doing? Let's stop as leaders. Let's stop pretending that everything is good. You don't get to greatness by pretending that everything is good, that we're okay. You get there by facing the truth and leading through it, by stepping into it, stepping into the mess, cleaning it up, making it better, by being vulnerable, by showing empathy. Having greater accountability, by truly listening to our employees, to our staff. Listen to what your teachers are telling you. If you are an administrator at a school, listen what your teachers are telling you. They're not you know what? 90% of the time, they're not making crap up. They're not just saying stuff to make your life miserable. They're telling you what's going on, what's happening. So listen to them. If you are leading a sales team, or you're just an executive leading a team, listen to what your people are saying to you. Don't pretend to have all the answers. Just listen. Listen to them. Acknowledge them. You will get a lot further. So, here's my challenge for you guys. I want you to take 10 minutes every day this week after you hear this podcast. So I want you to take 10 minutes. I want you to walk the halls. I want you to walk wherever it is you work, right? Whatever halls exist in your building. If you are virtual, well, you can't really walk the halls because it wouldn't do you any good. But I want you to pay attention to any meetings that you have virtually and really be attentive and really pay attention to what's happening. So not just physically walking, but emotionally walking. What do you see? When you're in a virtual meeting, when you're walking the halls, what do you see? Do you see people who are actively living the values that you espouse to as an organization, as a school, as a sales team, as an executive team, as an HR group, as a marketing department, as the engineering department? Are you living the values of your organization? So what do you see? Do you see people gossiping? Do you see people acting the fool? And then the other question you should ask yourself is, what do you feel? What do you feel with what you see? That's going to give you a very good idea of your organization overall. It's going to give you the information that you need to make some tough decisions moving forward, of whether or not you should remain in the organization, whether you should be one of those people that quietly leaves, if you're going to be part of that high turnover rate. You shouldn't be there just to collect a paycheck. You should be there because you love your job, because you love the people that you work with. But again, it's not up to you. The culture starts from the top down. In the case of Andy Byron, it starts with him. The culture of that organization is broken. If you don't believe that it's broken, look how bad it broke. All because of his actions, because he's not living the values of the organization. Need I say more? Does that paint a pretty clear picture, Soph? I see this every day. So, stop saying we're good. Stop pretending like your organization doesn't have any room for improvement. When someone is approaching you and telling you that they are there to help, take them at their word. Ask good questions. Well, what can you do to help me? Hey, listen, we have a high turnover rate. How do I fix that? Hey, we have a lot of gossiping. Hey, we have whatever your issue is. Allow that person to help you and to maybe counsel you, to mentor you, to give you solutions, possible solutions to help you fix those issues. So, really wanted to get that out there today. Just because like I said at the beginning, I'm just coming across it a lot lately where people just keep telling me everything's good. Let's stop pretending that everything is good and let's just step into the mess and let's figure it out and let's fix it. That's what needs to be done. So, all right. And the thing that I love about this is all these things that we've been talking about today is that when we do that, you're going to help people in your organization and yourself and everyone that you come in contact with. You're going to help them live the life. And that's what it's all about. It's about living the life of principles, living the life of values. And if you can do that, you're going to be more successful. Your organizations will thrive. And we want thriving organizations. I personally want your organization, your school, your district, your department, in your organization to thrive by living the life. See you guys next week.